Like, why are you even doing this in the first place? Too many people are like constantly just sell. Like, oh, I'm doing this because like, as a TEDx speaker, so many people are like, oh, I want to do a TEDx talk because I can sell my service. I'm like, no, I did a TEDx talk, happened to go really well and have a lot of like business success because I just wanted to do it to prove something to myself. I wanted to, hey, I want to share my story. Right? And I think unfortunately there is that world between content creation. There's like the marketing content and then there's like the art of the content. When it comes to the content creation, my Instagram.
Today's episode is not what you expected. We have with us Tony Shriller, and you're going to be storytelling. I can tell already. Because I've got to start with everybody just wants to know.
Yeah.
How'd you end up on this podcast?
How did I end up on this podcast? Everybody wants to know.
Everybody's asking.
This is crazy, by the way. So James hit me up. He was like, "Yo, man, like, we're doing this podcast. You want to be on it?" And I was like, "Oh, cool, man. How'd you like?" Why me? I'm just, there's a bunch of good looking people here and then you're going to add me on, And he was like, well, actually, Sean saw one of your videos on Instagram and he was like, yo, can you reach out to this guy? And the whole time I'm just like, what algorithm are you on, bro? Like, why are you famous? like, shouldn't you be looking at like hot girls,
Yeah,
the Asian algorithm. So yeah, the good looking Asian ones. Yeah. So and then James reached out and I actually met James here, I think a few months back when I was working with Dr. Kian out here. And I always love coming here. Just so much wisdom here, dude. Just so much wisdom and always learning. And he reached out and here I am.
Well, obviously it's a testament to your knowledge base in digital marketing, content, because you ended up on my algorithm and I was super impressed. I was like, we need that guy. Yeah. And I had no idea that he knew you. He was like, oh, that guy, I know him. I know Tony, I'll just call him. So it's super awesome that you're here. But before we dive into business and content creation, you also, one of the things that I think is awesome, you have found this space, this niche, and sharing your lighter side, the comedy side. But for a lot of people, that's not easy, right? I think all of us think we're funny. I mean, Dave definitely thinks he's funny, but that doesn't mean that we're willing to jump out on a stage and share that and even face the possibility that I might share what I think's funny and they might not think it's funny. Talk to me about that journey.
Yeah.
Doing hard things and showing up and saying, all right, I'm going to see just how funny I am.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you for saying that I'm funny. I appreciate it. So for me, right, there's two things. There's being funny and then there's stand-up comedy.
Okay.
Right. So stand-up comedy has always been on my list since I was in high school. So kind of a quick story. I grew up in Taiwan and, coming here to the States, I was 15 years old. I didn't speak English. And my source of learning was watching movies, watching stand-up, because I'm not only learning language, I'm also learning the culture, right? And also a lot of mindset a lot of times. So I learned a lot. I'm like, dude, this is so cool. People can just get on stage and share their stories and talk about like small things in life and make people laugh, but even more importantly, make people think. So I was always inspired by that. And, fast forward, went to high school, college out here. I went to USC Film School, music school. I did a dual degree, the least Asian thing to do in the arts. And, graduated. I went into digital media because of my sort of experience both behind and in front of the screen. I was actually managing YouTubers before the word influencer was a word. I used to manage these YouTubers way back in like 2009. And so just kind of a sort of a combination of all these experiences. And then fast forward to just around like 4 years ago, I was like, dude, there was this stand-up comedy thing that I had in my mind I haven't really thought about, right? And actually around 2017 or 18, we were kind of talking about this briefly. It was a sort of a dark time of my life where, business wasn't really working out entrepreneurship wise. And then, family stuff, there's a lot of just moving pieces. And I was feeling really down. And quite frankly, out of desperation, I was like, I need to make a change, right? And I was reading about, this cold shower thing for a while. And I was like, dude, I'm going to give it a try. Let me just make one micro change in my life. see what happens. I took that cold shower, and it changed the whole trajectory of my life, dude. And I basically started doing all kinds of habits. And one of the things about stand-up comedy, I was like, I gotta hit the stage. So I started doing the stand-up, and I was like, if I just do one time, if I am even remotely good at it, I'm just gonna keep going. And fast forward now, last year I just did my first stand-up special, and just meeting all kinds of amazing people. And I think combining, being an entrepreneur and stand-up comedian, you're talking about, putting yourself out there. I think being truly authentic is so important nowadays.
Yeah.
And that's why I am not even just not afraid. I embrace putting like 100% of myself out there. So,
It's so interesting. I like the distinction between being funny and being a stand-up comedian, because it is a completely different thing. You can be inspirational, but it's different than being an inspirational speaker.
Yeah.
And it takes a different type of acumen, practice, and courage, I think, to take the leap from being funny to being a stand-up comedian. But I found even more intriguing something that my wife said last night with Sean and Lacey and I about Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
She's like, you guys got to see him on Saturday Night Live because he's really funny, but he makes you think.
She did say that, yeah.
Right. And it seemed to be the same. And I watch all your stuff as well and known you for a long time and Coach Kian and everybody that you work with. But how do you pick those topics? Because I think it's really interesting. When I want Rob Riggle will be there tonight with us, and it's sometimes the topics that they talk about have to be compelling topics, but they have to have a unique perspective of that topic and still be funny. Right? You can't make everybody, depressed.
Yeah. Well,
You have to like have it thought provoking and then like spin it into something really hilarious.
Yeah, absolutely. And shout out to Chappelle, dude. Like he's like
A legend.
Legend. And I was literally.
He's untouchable. He's so funny,
dude. I would just show
uncancelable.
Like he's just so like it's. Well, a lot of times people don't. There is a requirement of a level of sophistication to get his stuff too.
Yeah.
So like his stuff is just so well thought out and well executed. And in terms of my personal topic, definitely like personal experiences, right? And also topical stuff. So for example, right, I did a whole round of shows in San Diego just this last week, and I'm like, all right, it's been over a week now. I can start making jokes about the LA fires, so I
Not too soon.
From my person, that's never too soon. Actually, Chappelle did that. Talk about it. But for me, is the reason why we do comedy, a big part of it is coping pain, right? We're taking a situation, something serious, something might be painful, but we find maybe not necessarily joy, but find some sort of light to it, right? So topical stuff, for example, from my perspective, I was talking about how the Palisades fire is absolutely terrible, right? Like my lady's, her office building completely incinerated. So many like beautiful homes, right? That we're actually looking at a home that it was like, $5 million home. We were looking at it, ready to buy it. And then just got completely, incinerated. We're saving up for it too, We're only like $5 million away, but like we're saving up. Like something very simple, but people can relate to that.
Yeah.
Right? So absolutely personal experiences, and being an Asian American, being an Asian male American, there's unique perspective and experiences. That's where I talk about. And hopefully my goal really for comedy, and this is why I love, the work that you guys do, we're really here to create an impact, right? I love how, I believe it was you, Dave, you said last time, it's easy to impress people. I just show people all the good stuff, all the achievements I have, but it's hard to make an impact. I got to show you all my learning lessons, all my failures, right? So for me, it's just through the lens of humor, all these things that challenge has been through. That's really where my inspiration come from.
I don't think this is a question, but I have a thought.
Yes.
You could be a comedian.
What's that? I could be a comedian. No, but I thought, I thought that when I was listening to you, you said two things. You said, number one, when it comes to comedy, you love comedy because you can take a small thing, a very small thing, and make people laugh and find humor in it, right? Yeah. But then you also said, interestingly enough, the same terminology when you were talking about the time in your life where you were really down. You said, I did a very small thing. I made a small change. I thought, isn't that interesting how small things are large, right? And how in
no
your
wonder you married
story,
Sean.
Right. This is not an Asian reference.
Is it?
Or is it? I don't know.
It's all about how you utilize the small things.
You know,
You know what I'm saying? The velocity and
See, there's a difference between being funny
Yeah, yeah,
and being a professional comedian.
There you go.
I got a chuckle.
But it is. Oh golly gee, I'm not even gonna. But small things are large. Small
Yeah.
things are large.
That's
People,
right.
you heard it here
You have a
first.
micro action could have a macro impact. Not like I know anything about anything micro, but
But
yeah.
I think that was really profound because it is these teeny tiny things.
Not again.
I love this. Yeah, I love this. I'm actually half black, by the way.
Unfortunately, from the eyebrows up, not the waist down.
That's
What
why
half?
you're micro
What
versus
half is so
macro.
important? Same
Yeah.
thing about being a Jew. I want to be a Jew from the eyebrows up. Definitely not the waist
Not the
down.
waist down.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes.
Either way, small things can make a big impact, and
Yeah.
it doesn't matter where in what area of life we're talking about.
Yeah.
I think so many times we overlook that, and we're always looking for that next big thing, that next big break, that next big rock, that next big thought or idea. And in reality, so much of it actually exists in the small things, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for bringing that up. I do firmly believe that like taking micro actions, challenges really,
Yep.
can have just a tremendous impact. And that's really where like a huge part of, my mid 20s to 30s completely shifted because I was like, dude, I'm just going to start taking challenges, just fucking YOLO every day, right? What was something that I never thought could happen? Let's just try it, right? Let's just try like 1% of it, right? Including stand-up comedy. I was like, dude, I always thought about it. How many of us, like so many people out there, like, oh, I always thought about doing something. And then the next thing you know, 5, 10, 20, 30, 50 years gone by and never tried it.
Right.
Dude, you have no idea how many people would tell me they're like, oh, dude, I see so many of you guys doing stand-up. I want to try it too. I'm like, what's stopping you, bro?
Just do it.
Yeah,
Just do it.
open mic night.
Just
Yeah.
waiting for
open
you.
mic. You're in LA. Like, go do it, And then you'll know how hard it is. And
Yeah.
But it's true though. It's for me, I'm always about like inspiring, hopefully, encouraging people to just try it. Why not? Who cares?
Well, there's another element to that. So did you start with open mic? Is that what you did first?
Yeah, I started with the mic.
And so you did open night, and then you came off the stage and they booked the comedy special.
Yeah, straight up, just like that.
Okay, so
Super easy.
This is a parallel in both of your journeys here in your businesses. So many people make content.
Yeah.
I made content. It didn't go viral. A lot of people do open mic, and then they're like, it didn't get the response that I wanted.
I didn't get a laugh.
And so then they give up.
Yeah.
What kept you going, and what do you use? What do you tell in the other side of your business? What do you tell in the content creation, the marketing side? What do you tell people who are like, but I already did that. We already did 5 videos. How many more videos do we need to do? Like, these 5 videos are not working.
Yeah. So that's a great question. So I would say always go all the way back to like really having a clarity, right? Like why are you even doing this in the first place? Too many people are like constantly just sell. Like, oh, I'm doing this because like, as a TEDx speaker, so many people are like, oh, I want to do a TEDx talk because I can sell my service. I'm like, no, I did a TEDx talk, happened to go really well and have a lot of like business success because I just wanted to do it to prove something to myself. I want to hey, I want to share my story, right? For stand-up comedy, I was like, okay, there are stories I want to share. There are specific impact I want to create. Even more importantly, I want to be a great stand-up comic. I want to really pursue the art of it, right? It's a lifelong journey. And I think, unfortunately, there is that world between content creation. There's like the marketing content, and then there's like the art of the content, right? And, I was just talking to a bunch of comics about it. Like, they're like, oh, like, it's so not cool. We're forced to create like these like crowd work clips. I'm like, you're not forced to do anything. You're just chasing after the cloud.
Right.
If you think you need to do that, that's not the right approach. Like, if you want to do it. Right. You need to figure out there's that balance of like crafting your art and then also, doing stuff that is for the marketing of your business. So when it comes to the content creation, my Instagram was pretty much like dead for like years because I was so focusing on, there's a whole mindset story around it. But I was like, okay, I got to focus on servicing my clients. I shouldn't spend any time building my own thing. But then really just like last year or a year and a half ago, I was like, what am I doing, dude? Why am I not building my own thing? Right. And as soon as I started shifting the mindset, I'm like, okay, in order for me to service my clients, I need to be my best client first, right? aka I need to go through the entire journey what I've been helping people on, and then be able to share the wins and loses, right? So when it comes to content creation, number one, you definitely have to have clarity. Number two, I think focus on service, and David's all about that. Really being able to service other, like, what can I provide? What am I giving, right? So
I have a question, and it's always one I'm blessed. Even back to Robin Williams, and obviously, Dane Cook, Rob Riggle. I just find comedians extremely intelligent. But there's another thing. I teach people relationship with money, and money's an energy. But even in my own personal therapy, your relationship to humor and understanding and having friends that are some of the world's biggest, stand-up comedians and become entertainers. I'm always fascinated what their relationship to humor is in comedy, because, for me, anyone that knows my history, I've always used it to protect myself. So shit hurt. That's where my comedy started, was to protect myself, childhood trauma, stuff that happened when I was 9. And finally my wife's like, you got to go see therapy, because that's not funny. What happened to you when you were 9 is not funny. And to make jokes in front of your kids, you got serious issues. Now it's comedy again. But I would love to know your relationship to comedy, and because I think stand-up people that want to be stand-up people must have an interesting, at least, relationship to comedy that can help us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. A big part of it definitely comes from pain or experiences that you are finding ways to cope with it, and then you start seeing the lights of it, and you're like, oh, this light, and you start digging, and then it turned into like huge beam of light, not only shine yourself, but also shine all the people behind you who are, right, like, who might be going through the same thing.
Nice.
So for me, uniquely from being like, coming to the States, right, like being bullied, right, definitely like the bullying, like racial stuff, or when it comes to specifically being an Asian male, there's this how should I say it, like stereotype of like Asian male are not supposed to be sexy, right, in the US, right? Like, when was the last time you saw like an Asian dude on a Nike billboard? Almost never, because we're
Jeremy
not supposed
Lin.
to be.
Jeremy Lin.
Yeah, Jeremy Lin. And now there's like Jimmy Lou. Like, shout out to a lot of Asian Americans out there putting themselves out there. But there's this stereotype of like, okay, this is like the desexualization of, unfortunately, Asian male and black females, and the hypersexualization of black male and Asian female, right? So society, there is, sort of these macro, whatever you call it, macro cultural stuff that I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I don't think you should victimize yourself by it. I'm like, I'm an Asian guy. Nobody like, no. I'm just a guy who happens to be an Asian person, right? So I like to talk about those experiences, and a lot of times, I'm grateful to be inspiring a lot of Asian American guys come up. They're like, hey, dude, thanks for just representing. You know what I mean? I'm like, hey, you can be sexy as long as you are being you.
Yeah.
I don't care what color you are. It could be purple. So that's like a big part for me. Really,
and Barney thanks you as well.
Yeah.
For the shout out. Be sexy purple.
Sexy purple. What's the other guy? The McDonald's guy.
Oh, Grimace.
Grimace.
He thanks you as well. Yeah, Grimace is still doing it, man. They have like a Grimace campaign. So purple's in.
Purple's is back.
What about for you, Tony? What's next? Like, what do you want to do? Next challenge. So you conquered the ice. You conquered the stand-up.
Yeah.
What are you going to do to challenge yourself next?
I don't know about conquering the stand-up yet. I'm very grateful. I had a stand-up special last year. I'm doing another one. I'm self-producing it this year. So definitely would love to see you all there.
Heck yeah.
I'm going to do another special this year.
Dirty Martini's on me.
That's right. Dirty
Tony is way more
only
funny
dirty.
after. Remember, when it comes to his comedy, one martini, not enough.
Yeah.
Too many.
It's got to be in between. It's got to be dirty. It's got to be dirty enough.
Exactly. Filthy martinis.
Filthy.
Yeah. So stand up, and then yes, continue. It's definitely continue the craft of that. And then on the business side, I've been so grateful to have a team of people. We're really focusing on like helping experts-based businesses out there. So experts, there's a lot of people like doctors, coaches, speakers, really build their personal brand, right? Through specifically like content creation, having a cohesive strategy, and really have a clear thought of like, who are you? Like, why should people care, right? So really taking that and service people out there. There's so many people who have great stories, great wisdom, great expertise, they don't have a avenue to do that. You know,
Mhm.
they don't know. They either don't have the time or they don't know how to do it. So you know, that's really a big part of like taking that to the next level, servicing as many people as possible out there.
Well, that's also the reason for this podcast. The
Yeah.
reason for the work that Lacey and I do is because we believe that the world's greatest service providers, so the world's greatest healers, live in relative obscurity because they refuse to embrace the concepts of being an entrepreneur. So they don't market, they don't sell,
Yeah.
and their gifts they fall
Mhm.
unused. They were put on this planet. You know, in my opinion, the greatest stand-up comedians, nobody knows who they are
Mhm.
because of what you were saying. They're amazing and they have a gift, but they won't go to open mic.
Yeah.
And they're the most gifted stand-up comedian on the planet, but they just won't do it. Like, in their
Yeah.
friends and everybody's like, "Oh, you
You
should
gotta
do it," and they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh,
Yeah, well,
no."
that's why America's Got Talent
Yeah.
and all of the it's because it
Yeah.
literally
Because of
proves
that.
that point.
But
Yeah.
even then, there's the people that you still have to go through the audition.
Right.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
so many people that are better than them.
Oh
and
yeah.
watch that, and they're like, "I'm so much better," and they're like, "Well, why don't you go and audition?" They're coming to LA.
Yeah, they're
Oh.
watching now they're watching Carrie Underwood saying,
Yeah.
"I'm so much better than her."
Yeah. And it's like it's what's that saying? The richest place on earth is like the graveyard, right?
Yeah.
All the unlived potentials.
Yeah.
So absolutely. I mean, I find it incredibly rewarding when I get to empower people, whatever it is they want to do. They want to start doing. I have plenty of friends who finally started doing stand up after I just kicked their butt a little, you know,
Yeah.
and really just pursuing their passion because that's so important. And being able to take that to the next level. But it's I think especially as like AI and all these things, you know, advances, like we are forced to be more and more introspective, man. Like otherwise we're losing our shit. Dude.
Yeah.
We don't
Which
know.
is
who we
why
are.
I want to invite everyone to come see me at the Thunder Down Under. I'll be in Vegas in September. I'm practicing right now. It's the furry Jewish man edition of Thunder Down Under. So they told me to be myself.
You want to see a
It'll
stand-up
be me
show?
and Ted. It'll be me and Ted.
Yeah. I'm gonna bring-
Wahlberg's producing it for us.
I'm gonna
It's a-
bring Dave on tour as well.
Yeah. He'll be the opening act.
Opening
Exactly.
act. You down for that, dude?
Yeah.
And
Look,
then you come out.
you come out and say, "Now that's not funny. Let me tell you something that is."
That's well hung right there. Yeah. Half
Just
Welsh,
bring it full
half
circle.
Hungarian.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Me and Flex Lewis.
Tony,
Yeah.
thank you so much for being a part of the program today. Very inspiring, and thank you for sharing your gifts with us all.
I appreciate y'all. Thank you all as well.
Great job.
Thank
All
you.
right, everybody, that's it for this week. We'll be back again next week with a brand new edition of the None of Your Business podcast.
None of your business. Now get out of here.